New details in that thwarted Iranian-backed plot to assassinate now President-elect Trump ahead of the 2024 election. The U.S. Justice Department unsealing charges against 3 people in connection with the plan. Farhan Shakiri, a known agent of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and 2 U.S.-based operatives have been charged with murder for hire, providing support to a foreign terrorist organization and money laundering conspiracy. Let's bring in former CIA officer, former FBI special agent, and NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Tracy, always good to see you. Let's start with how the FBI was even unable to uncover these plots. Can you explain to our viewers what the process looked like?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Hena. First of all, the one thing I actually want to say to kick this all off is it's pretty remarkable that they were able to gain this intelligence. When I worked at CIA and FBI, Iran was, I guess, what we would call a black hole of intelligence, if you will. And the fact that they were able to gain this intelligence from Iran is pretty extraordinary, quite frankly. And so that's good news. Basically, what the FBI was doing was probably following Shakiri because he was already a known agent of the IRGC, which has been labeled as a terrorist group. So they were probably already following him. As a result of that, they were using intelligence that they were probably gaining from other countries because we don't have a diplomatic relationship with Iran to gain information about his movements. Because the reality is Iran wouldn't let us know if he was traveling here or what any of his financial dealings were. And so we were using them most likely to track through his digital communications.
The biggest question on my mind here, Tracy, is why is Iran trying to assassinate now President-elect Trump? They thought he was going to lose the election and wanted to go ahead with this anyway. Why?
So this is now, what, the second, I think, attempt that you and I have talked about against now President-elect. Look, I have been banging my head against the wall about this. Iran has said that they will attempt to assassinate Trump to avenge the death of Qasam Soleimani. And I think they would have done that whether he was president or not. I think they perhaps expected him to lose. Therefore, maybe they thought it might be easier to gain access and attempt this. But they are trying to avenge his death, and they will not stop doing that.
So multiple assassination attempts against Trump, both domestic and foreign actors. Now there's calls for even more security around the president-elect. What more can be done to protect him moving forward, Tracy?
Look, I don't think this is a bad idea to increase his security. One of the things we are dealing with, which is very different, quite frankly, than we have with other presidents, is this direct threat from a foreign country. It's not that foreign countries haven't perhaps attempted something like this before, but typically there is this idea that we don't kill each other's leaders. But Iran has said they were going to do that. One of the things they're doing is using those robotic dogs that we saw, I believe, clips of yesterday. That is to really sniff out for biological and chemical substances, which I actually think is a good idea. One of the things I mentioned before is that now Trump will be physically in the White House, although I know he doesn't stay there all the time once he is president. And the reality is the Secret Service will have most likely an easier time keeping him safe in that location.
That makes sense. So the DOJ also announced those increased attacks on the U.S. They could be in retaliation to the 2020 killing of top Iranian General Qasam Soleimani. I know you covered that very closely. Is there a reality where American and Iranian officials could negotiate putting an end to this violence?
Oh, gosh, Hena, that is such a good question.
That's a tough question.
It's a very tough question. And, I always try to be a realist and an optimist. In my opinion, based on how I dealt with Iran when I worked in the intelligence community, I think the short answer is no. I do not see us being friendly anytime soon. Obviously, you have the Ayatollah there who has a very staunch stance against us. He is really their head of state, quite frankly, and does tell them what to do and what policies to make. And his policy is very anti-America. We have no diplomatic relationship with Iran. We don't have an embassy there and haven't since 1979.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.